Hey everyone, happy Thursday or Friday, depending where you are in the world. It's Sup Connect Live, and my name is Kristen Thomas. I'm very lucky to get to do this every Thursday. I talk with interesting people in the world of stand-up paddleboarding, which of course crosses over to so many of us who love water and paddling and being outdoors in so many ways. So I know you will find today interesting, amazing lady who you may or may not know, but you should. But I feel like she's another one of those really humble ones who we need to talk about more. Sheas Barnes is with me today from Florida. Actually, she's still in Florida, although she is on the road. I believe she's on the dock of a boat, on a boat maybe right now, but she's going to tell us all about this. Super lucky to talk to someone who is an outstanding paddler, instruction and racing, but also a mom, a teacher, does some amazing paddles like crossing for CF. So much good stuff to talk about. And I see a little dot, which means the teacher following instructions, and she just set herself up to join us, which is fantastic. So crossing my fingers that we have, yes, it worked. Hello, Kim. How are you? Can you hear me?
Oh, no.
I can hear you. You can't hear me though?
You know what? I'm losing signal, so it's coming in and out. So I'll try to do my best. Can you hear me?
Okay. Well, I can see I can see your smiling face, so that's good.
Can you hear me?
You've got people saying hello to you. I can
Hi,
hear
everybody.
you, so that's good.
Let's see. I don't
Yeah,
know if I
thrilled
can
to have
move.
you on today. I know you're you can try moving around. It's very casual.
Okay,
So we'll have to
let me
tell
see
the
if
whole
I can.
story of where you are and why and everything.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm actually on a boat right now, and the signal is not good, so I'm gonna try to go out front. I might have to put some shades on just a minute. I'm delivering a boat to Alabama right now with my husband and family, and we're actually just coming into Pensacola. Can you hear me better? Is the
Yeah, you
signal
sound
better?
great,
Okay.
and we can see the water behind
We're
you.
actually this is actually Panama City. So we're just coming into Panama City now. I can sit out here if that's better.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
We get a full action video with the water behind you and everything.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
with the water behind you, and you just gave a little piece of, we're interviewing now because you're a full-time teacher and you just got out of school last week,
Shoot.
and then you jumped on board
I
right
can't get
away, and
it.
you
My
and your
signal's not
family.
working.
I can
Sorry,
hear
I
you
missed that
okay.
whole thing. It's so glitchy. Okay, it was glitchy. Just if you could try it again.
So you tell us your water story. How did you start with paddling?
Okay, so actually, I had a friend that was a rep for Jimmy Lewis, and she lived in Jupiter, and she's like, you know, you like running, so why wouldn't you try doing trying a paddleboard? And I was like, okay. So she had me try a paddle with her, and she's like, oh, it'll be easy. We'll just do like a mile. And it was not easy. And so after having that experience, I kind of was like, okay, well, this is something new. It's challenging. At the time, my kids were pretty young, and I was looking for something to do as a mom that would get me back in shape and keep me happy. And being on the water seemed to be a natural thing for me to do. I grew up in Florida, and being on boats and water skiing, surfing, and it just kind of fell into place.
That's fantastic. And I didn't mention you're a PE teacher. So, and I'm assuming you've always been, you just mentioned you're a runner. So have you always been
Yeah,
into sports?
I have.
Did you do some
Grew
other
up as a
competitive
gymnast
sports too?
until I was, I grew up as a gymnast until about middle high school. And then I switched to springboard diving. And I was a collegiate athlete for diving, for swimming and diving for the University of Texas. And then after diving, I actually started running, which I learned that it wasn't very easy to go from a sport that was quick and short to an endurance sport. So it took me a while to get a little bit better at doing things for over time. So running was very challenging. I started with walking and running and walking and running, and then finally I started to be able to log in some miles. So, and then that became my escape.
Yeah, and you mentioned that in your introduction that for you, all your water time is your sanity, kind of your escape, your break from life. You do
It
have a
is.
busy life. Veronica asked, like, how the heck does she balance it all? That you're a mother, that a wife, a teacher. A
Yeah,
lot of the people at your level are attempting to do it full time, and more power to them. But you got a bunch on your plate, so balance must be a word that or something you're always working with. Would you say?
absolutely. So, my husband is a huge help as far as being able to, being able to, I, I, being, sorry, my son's trying to tell me something. I'm like, I can't, trying to, my husband is like, he's just the biggest help as much as he can. So, we've got a pretty decent routine down. The kids, my kids go to school. One of them goes to school with me. The other one is off at the middle school. But by the time I pick him up, and her, I take them to sports, and then I'm able to have time to be on the water or do something active. And then I stop that. I go home, do dinner, homework. So it is hard to balance, but I have been able to find a way. And I would say that it's a lot easier, obviously, when my husband's in town. So
Yeah. So
yeah.
when do you fit training into all of that? Is it
I'm a nights and weekend girl. So most evenings, the time change really is challenging when we go to the shorter days. Lots of time I'm training in the dark after work, but so it's mostly in the evenings. I go to work at about 7:30, and then I'm done with work around 4. And after that, it's doing a lot of shuttling around, and I'm usually on the water around 5 o'clock, and then I'm off the water or finished with exercising around 6:30, and then I'm back to doing the mom duties and homework and dinner and what have you.
yeah. Well, one of the things you didn't mention in your introduction is all the success you've had, and a lot lately, but I think it's been going on for a couple years. A little bit of a break in there, which if you're comfortable, I'd love you to talk about it because I think it's super inspiring that you've come back from an injury.
Oh yeah,
But you just had a great race at Carolina Cup,
yeah.
but you've had a few of those. So talk about racing a bit, where you are right now.
So over the years, I've had some really good competition on the East Coast. Seychelles has been here, and it seems like every race that I've been to over the years, she and I at first started off. I was faster than her, and then she, stepped up and created a profession out of stand-up paddling. And I've always had that top level athlete to compete with, and it's been great because it drives me, And then over time, in other races around the world, I did the Euro Tour a long time ago. I've been to Hood River a few times. I did the PPG. I've been traveling and doing a lot of these sports for many years. Maybe not to this level, but I've tried, and I love the experience of competing at a higher level. So having somebody to try to raise the bar each time I practiced was super helpful. And
Yeah.
then now we have April Zilg on the East Coast. And, if I can get to any of the bigger races, I try to keep those girls in mind while training so that I can stay at these higher levels. Over the years, I've always, I've been near the top, at least on the East Coast. And then when I would go visit the West Coast, I'd at least be top 10, if not top 5 in some of the races. And then recently, I think a lot of the recent success has actually been coordinating my confidence with my ability. So really finding that even though I'm not able to do this professionally, I'm not able to work out as much as I'd like to, I'm not able to and I kept putting that in the back of my head. Well, I'm not. And so lately I have just gotten to the point where I'm like, well, but I am. And
Yeah,
so
you
I
are.
think some of that is starting to click, and I'm happy because some of that confidence is coming through my paddling. So,
Well, good for you. I love to
thanks.
hear that because, as I mentioned in your intro, I think your people should know who you are, and maybe your name isn't as well known. Part of it is, like you said, you're not doing this full time. You don't get to do all the social media writing and posting and keeping up, and a lot of people do have that time to get their names out there themselves because it's kind of part of the process if you're a pro right now, but you can
Right.
be a pro and do these other things. And what a great model that you're doing that. So I'm thrilled to hear that your confidence is lining up with your amazing abilities. That is
Thank you.
fantastic. Another thing, you have you've mentioned the other ladies, and Stephanie Scheidler now lives near you, so you have a
Yes.
training partner. But I want you to talk about the Jupiter scene. That's one area of Florida I've never been to. It's funny, I always try to dig up a shirt that's appropriate. This is the closest I could get. It's a place I've paddled
Very
in
nice.
Florida.
Very nice.
And I have to
I love it.
say, it kicked my butt. I don't know how to paddle in humidity. I have found that the
Yeah.
most challenging thing. But talk about training. You have an amazing culture there in Jupiter.
Hmm.
I think it's I haven't been there, like I said, but one of the best places in Florida because it has surfing and the inland waterway, just like Florida has all over the place. But tell us about the Florida scene and Jupiter.
So, so when I actually first started paddling, there was two friends of ours, Rachel and Steve. They approached Blue Line, and that's a local paddle shop in Jupiter. And
Mhm.
they said, we should. There's a lot of people trying to get into paddling. Maybe we should create a race league. And so, fast forward 9 years or so, and it's still continuing. Now that we have JV or Jeremy Vane spearheading it, the community is just grown tremendously. In Jupiter, we have a lot actually of top and really fast racers. We all like to get together. And so whether it's as a big actual race, mock race on Tuesday nights, or on Sunday, we have another surf shop or paddle shop that puts a Sunday race league together, and that's Zeke's, owned by Travis Kent and Lisa B. And so I think there's a lot of people that are willing to continue to improve. And so you can go to those two race leagues, or you can just dial up a friend and say, hey, I feel like doing ocean training today. I would like to do interval training. There's somebody that's going to be out there that you can call up or send a message out, and either everybody shows up, or maybe you only get one person or two people. Consistently, I train with a guy named Steve Bernstein, and now Stephanie. I train with her quite a bit, and the three of us seem to have a good thing going, where we keep each other accountable, whatever we're doing. And sometimes one person's pushing harder than another, and it keeps us all going. So the community here is so strong, and there's all levels of paddlers. Right now, there's a lot of people training distance for the crossing. So there's a lot of recreational paddlers that are going to be trying to do an 80-mile crossing, either solo or as in relays. And so that's also helped grow some of the community, because people are getting together on mornings that they're able to improve their basic skills. They may not be racing 80 miles, but they're still trying to put in the time and the distance to prepare themselves, which then is, I think, piquing more interest in, geez, now I can go faster. Let me try a Tuesday night. Let me try a Sunday morning with these paddle groups. So
That's just fantastic. Let's spend a little more time on Crossing for a Cure, or now called Crossing for CF, right?
yeah,
Because you have done that before and very
yeah.
successfully. And I believe you're also helping people with training too, and have done some like online stuff and videos and in person. So
Mm-hmm.
talk more about that event. It really, somebody I said who I was interviewing, they're like, doesn't she do that like 90-mile thing? Is she crazy?
Well,
I
so
think people hear 80 miles and say, What?
No way. Yeah. And, it is impressive because every year, so I've done it, this will be my third time doing it. And I've done it as a 2-person relay and as a 4-person relay. So I personally have not soloed the 80 miles. It is very impressive, the people that actually are able to make it across the 80 miles, and people do. And some of them are people that have never paddled before, but the determination, the will, putting in the time on the board has become their mission. And, whether, the old saying, couch to 5K, well, this is like a couch to 80 miles. So it becomes like their mission to be able to make it across. You always hear of bike rides or runs that are extremely long. And essentially, this is the same idea. It's just that you're raising awareness and raising money for cystic fibrosis. So,
Yeah. And again, that one's really heartfelt. I mean, they've done an amazing job of raising awareness and getting information out. And it's so special because salt water is a therapy
such a
for that.
therapy.
And that Travis, who I believe started it all, and his daughter, who has it, she was so little when they first started, and she's like,
absolutely
all grown up now.
It was 2013 when Travis and a few friends decided that they would paddle across. And I actually remember the night that they were going to do it, and I was watching the forecast and thought, no way they're doing it tonight. And it was not fair skies and calm seas. It was probably about as bad as last year was. It was very rough, and I happened to be one of the people that was there in 2013 when they ended up at Riviera Beach Marina. And again, they weren't quite sure where they'd end up, and that's happened to be where they ended up, which was at the Port of Palm Beach. So it was a very impressive thing to watch. And then fast forward to 2022, here it is, over 100 people are going to attempt to paddle across, in different facets, whether it's as a solo or as relay teams. And that's just incredible.
And they are all incredible. So don't put yourself down, because I do relays too. And I think you get to be a part of it, and it makes it accessible to more people, sharing a boat and trading off. And there's challenges to that too, as you know, well, the on and off, and staying warm, and staying hydrated.
Yep. And it's interesting. Something that was different when you do relays, that your whole body, you have time to stop and rest, which most of the time when you're racing, even in a distance race, you're continuously going and going and going, and your body gets used to that. So when you do a relay and you have that time to stop and then get back on the board, it actually is pretty hard to do. It is, when your body is in motion, it likes to stay in motion. When you stop and it's repetitive across the 80 miles, it definitely becomes a little more challenging. So I know when we train for the crossing, we actually take breaks, let our whole body and system kind of slow down and shut down, and then we'll get back on the board, paddle pretty hard, and then we take a long break just to prep our bodies for taking that change over time.
Yeah, that's smart. Now, I've done nothing that long that you're doing. Do you still do kind of 20 or 30-minute pieces, or do you do much longer pieces?
Yeah, no, we actually do. So 4-person relay, we do about 20, 25 minutes, and then 2-person relay, we do as about 30, 35-minute increments.
So. Yeah, so that I didn't know if that changed with the general
No,
distance.
it's about the same. Yeah.
Because mine have been around like the 32. So that is an amazing event, and it's so special. I think that that I find stand-up paddlers, maybe all sports, but it seems like we have more people who really are looking for those cause events and really care about different causes and put their hearts into things like this, which is so neat and so special. So that's an amazing race that you're involved with, doing it yourself, helping people train for it. Cool to hear that you have new people doing it, as well as the returning people who've like done it almost every time, which is fantastic. But talk about some of your other races. Have there been favorites, lessons learned, tough ones? You mentioned some of the places you've gone, and you've also gone on the Euro Tour.
So one of my favorite races is actually, I actually enjoy Hood River. I love the location. I love just the elements that we don't normally get on the East Coast. Downwinding is different on the East Coast because our underlying swell is predominantly east, even if you have really good side shore winds. So that's a different navigation, and learning how to read the water is a little bit different in Hood River. It is not necessarily my forte, but I really do enjoy that. When I did the Euro Tour, I loved the fastest paddler on earth, the sprints that they did at Lost Mills a long time ago. That was pretty cool. And Bilbao is such an impressive place to paddle because you're in the middle of, Bilbao, and you have the Guggenheim right there. So I think that was a pretty awesome highlight. One of the more beautiful places was Lake Tahoe. When they do I forget what race it was, but you go around the Emerald Isle. It's like a 14-mile race.
Oh yeah, that was called Race the Lake of the Sky. We loved
Yes,
that.
that
It's
was
not
one of my
around
favorites.
anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of these races were from a long time ago, but really,
But you should come back to Tahoe because there
Yeah.
are a lot of races, especially off the North Shore, Tahoe Nalu, and then
Yep.
Jay and Anique Wild run quite a few different races out of
Oh,
their
great.
store.
Yeah. So Tahoe is just incredibly beautiful, and I love that it's like crystal clear, and you can see these big boulders underwater. So, on the East Coast, I enjoy Carolina Cup. It is always a mystery what you're going to get when you get there. November was definitely different than this past April. So it was definitely, that's one of my highlights. And one of the coolest races that's not necessarily well, maybe it's a newer race, is the Bay Bridge. The Chesapeake Bay Bridge is such a neat experience because you start off in Sandy Point, you get to paddle underneath the big span of the Chesapeake, and that's really cool. One of the races I have been to each year that I've been able to paddle is Key West Classic. To me, that's just another one of those, you never know what you're going to get. Even when they say it's calm, it's never calm. It can be brutal. So I don't think there is a bad race, and some places lend there to be a little bit more mystery than others. Chattajack has become one of my favorites. It's all flat water, so you don't have as much variation, but it can have some pretty decent winds, and the temperature drops there because it's cold at the end of October. That can be a challenge, especially.
And how much river flow you're going to get.
Exactly. You're always looking at what the dam's releasing. So there's a ton of great races out there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Somebody, Jack Egan is asking if you remember the Coconut Cup.
Yeah.
Did you go to that one in St. Croix?
Yes, I did the downwind race. Oh no, I did do the coconut. Yes, I did a long time ago. I stayed with Bill Kraft and his wife.
Yeah.
And I did do the coconut cup. Yes, and actually there was a downwind section, and then once we turned the one island part of St. Croix, it became like this flat water grind right to the beach. But it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep. And then I did the relay that they have down there. What's the relay? It's from one island from the BVI's.
Oh, yes. The one in January.
Yeah.
I can't believe I can't think of what that is.
Oh gosh.
It ends
Anyway,
at the Soggy Dollar.
Yes,
it's like
yes,
famous.
Exactly. Yeah, and you do it as a relay again.
That's a bucket list one. Yeah.
Yeah,
I got in on that one once because they didn't have enough women.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And we won money. It was amazing.
Yay. That's awesome.
With two non-English speakers, and I brought the paddle and we shared it. And yeah, these
great.
experiences, I'm with you. All of them are really amazing. Yeah, Jack Egan, the painkiller.
Painkiller. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it's interesting because each race brings its own elements. So whether it's the toughness of the paddlers, whether it's the conditions, or just, like you say, it's a bucket list. I want to go there because I want to have that challenge. So I kind of like all the races.
Yeah. How about someplace you haven't been yet that you'd like to paddle?
Where would I like to go? Actually, Molokai is something that just recently I kind of put as a bucket list race. I've never been to Hawaii. So that would be really cool. And just to be able to experience that. Like I said, I enjoy downwinding. I enjoy being in seas and out in the ocean. I think that's probably one of those races that's on my
Yeah.
wish list. We'll see
Yeah.
if it happens. The
Well, there's
logistics are a
and
little
there's
bit
there's a
challenging.
couple because M to O, which is better known, Molokai
Yes,
to Oahu is well known, but they all say I haven't paddled on Maui yet, but that
yes,
Maliko run and then on actually Maui to Molokai is supposed to be the
yes.
best for downwinding. So, well,
Awesome.
maybe I'll
Yeah.
see you there because I haven't done it either, and totally agree that that would
We
be
could
a
do it as a
bucket list.
relay.
Hey. They say that one's so fun that you don't even want to shit. I don't know if they do it as a
That's cool.
relay. We can do
That's
the whole
cool.
thing.
There you go.
You also instruct, does that just come out of what you're doing, or when do you find the time to actually teach stand-up paddling?
So I actually do it really early in the morning. Sometimes it's at 6:30 in the morning. I have some people that I teach lessons to super early, and then I'll train afterwards, or I will train first, and then I do paddle lessons, mostly one-on-one or in pairs with right after I train on the weekends. I'm an early riser, so I try to get everything in the morning before 11 o'clock. So whether it's coaching and then train, or
Mhm.
training then coaching, I do some evenings after school or work, but that gets a little challenging just because if my husband has a job and he's not in town, then I'm kind of running my kids around and
Yeah.
having to have other obligations. So I don't like to cancel. So
Yeah. Do you
yeah.
tend to do, it sounds like more coaching of, improving your skills and going faster as to, opposed to beginner lessons?
I do both actually, because so the other day I actually had a husband and wife. They just bought paddle boards and they heard about Tuesday night race league. And at Tuesday night uh, we have a mile loop. We have a 2.5 mile loop, and then we have a four almost 5 mile loop. And they are brand new to paddling. They bought just rec boards, but they just wanted to be a little more efficient. So I actually taught just even water rescue skills, like if they lost their paddles, how to get back to your paddle.
Thank
Um,
you.
Things that you think about or don't think about, and that they were nervous about. So just how to move a little bit on the board. So I do efficiency, technique, and then I do some of the just basic life-saving skills, how to pull on your leash and bring the board back and stuff like that. So I do a little bit of everything actually.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So, talking about what you guys do with Jupiter and your Tuesdays and Sundays, and also all the skills and knowledge you have and share.
Mhm.
Love to get some tips from you. So, someone who wants to start stand-up paddle racing, and maybe you can also speak to, are you seeing new people coming out of the whole pandemic thing that have their boards, whether they're rec or inflatable, that might be
Yeah.
ready for the next step? But so, some tips to get into sup racing.
So tips would be, first off, just start paddling. Make sure that you are finding the time, making the time to get on the water to see if you really enjoy it. And then if you want to graduate to the point of racing, get an instructor. At Blue Line, Jeremy Baines there, he does private lessons. He also does group lessons with as like entire groups, and he's great because he takes people out in the ocean. He'll take people, teach them how to use boat wakes, teach them how to turn buoys. He does the same things that I do. However, he has a little bit more of time to be able to spend with people, and he does large lessons and one-on-one. So I think get somebody who is established in your area. I feel like making sure that you have equipment that is going to be conducive to what you're looking for. You can start with a rec board if that's the level you want to start at, and then if you want to graduate to something better, find a friend, find somebody that knows a little bit more about paddle boarding or racing. If you're in an area that has a race league, ask a local paddle shop maybe for some advice, because you don't want to buy something, and they're expensive, and the paddles are expensive. So make sure that you're you know try a lot of pieces of equipment before you commit to one piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And I would just say know your limits. So don't put yourself out into conditions that you're not sure. If you are not sure about how to read the water, if you're going out in the ocean, check the weather beforehand. Make sure that you're doing all those things that you don't always think as a beginner. Check. If you're not sure, then get a partner, get somebody who might be a little bit more advanced than you, that knows a little bit about conditions. Make sure you have your safety stuff on. Yeah, that would be
Great.
my
Well,
suggestions.
fantastic tips. You mentioned equipment, and you
Yeah.
got a visor on right there. We have to talk about what you use, and a lot of
Yeah.
the people in your area. You have such an amazing community there, and they're based there. Talk
Yeah.
about flying fish
Okay.
and other equipment you use.
Yeah. So Flying Fish is a independently owned company, all handcrafted in the U.S. and actually in Stuart, Florida. John and his team basically try to fit the dimensions of boards for the person, which is really unique. Instead of having what we call a pop-out board or a board that's made for the masses, all the boards are specifically designed for you. Being a female, that was really nice because when I first started paddling, I got on a board that was really big for me, and it was not easy to navigate. It was not easy to, it was very cumbersome. And then once I found out about the fact that you could have a custom board, I used to ride for Riviera. They are no longer in business anymore. And so I went over to Flying Fish, actually spoke with John. John approached me after I had back surgery. And he was like, let me build you something that I think will fit you. And just that concept of having a board that would fit me. So whether I was 6'2" and 195 pounds, or if I'm 5'2" and 120 pounds, I have a board that's going to fit me and I can move it to my best ability. And I think that's a pretty unique quality. And the fact that they're all shaped right here in the US. So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
I think they have a great setup. I know a lot of people, it's not the most important thing perhaps for racing, but love that he has that online tool where you can
Yeah.
design, you can pick your colors and make it look
Yeah.
the way you want. It's a
Yeah.
bonus.
It's personalized.
Yeah.
And you see your boards, and I know that I have a specific color scheme, and even the boards that I used to ride, they have different, it's the same colors, just different schemes. And I can see, oh my gosh, that was one of my boards, or, so when your board is passed on to somebody else, anybody, you can say, oh my gosh, I remember that I used to have that board, because you recognize the colors and stuff. So it really, just having that personalized board is special,
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, that the picture that you gave us, we weren't able to use in the assets,
Mm-hmm.
and I know she grabbed another picture, and in that picture, you're just so ripped. I mean, it's a great picture of your arm, but you're also in a very low position.
Yeah.
Great squat and everything. But you mentioned your back. Would you mind sharing about the
Yeah.
back and injury and surgery and coming back
Yeah.
from that?
Absolutely. So in 2017, I had lumbar fusion. And so I mentioned I was a gymnast and a diver. It's a very common area to break as a younger athlete, especially when you're maneuvering yourself into different positions. So when I was younger, I actually broke my back, and there's the little hooks on your vertebrae. They're called pars, and mine were fractured. And over time didn't really heal the way they should. So I developed a lot of arthritis. The arthritis just impeded my nervous system down to my legs. And then I also started getting slippage of my discs in towards my stomach. So if you picture kind of like scoliosis, but instead of being a curve from side to side, it was going in towards my stomach. So I was losing a lot of feeling and mobility actually in my right leg. I never actually had back pain, but I was losing some of my abilities. I grew up in Florida, and we were flip-flops all the time, and I couldn't hold my toes together to put on a pair of flip-flops. And that was, so I was getting to the point where I was fearful. And I had surgery when I turned 40. And so at 40, I was so cautious about where I was stepping and how I was moving. I stopped running. I stopped kiteboarding. I stopped surfing. And I was stopping to do a lot. I just wasn't doing anything. I did paddle, but I was still starting to lose that as well. So I made the decision to have surgery. And after the surgery, I was nervous because I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel afterwards. Was I gonna be able to paddle again? Was I gonna be able to move again? Was I gonna be able to do all these things? And it took about a year of recovery, about 6 months before I started paddling lightly again. Walking was the best thing for me. I did a lot of walking. And then I just slowly worked at yoga, Pilates, and then I was able to start getting back into more intense practices. I don't lift weights, although I look like I lift weights, because it just is something that I've learned over time isn't as beneficial to me. So I find that doing the yoga and the Pilates is more beneficial. And, I am older. And so that's something I think about. I want to have longevity. I want to be able to stay fit and in shape and strength. And light weights is fine for me, but doing some heavier stuff is not as beneficial. And that's not to say for everybody, just that's what works for me. So
Yeah, fantastic. So time on the water. Well, I'm glad. I
yeah,
mean, look how you've come back better than
yeah,
ever.
yeah,
And yeah, you may say you're a little older, but you're still improving. It seems that
yeah,
you're still getting faster. That's fantastic. I do think that's a
absolutely.
great thing in our sport that we have
Hmm.
from 13 to 50-year-olds who are still super competitive and
Absolutely.
with
Absolutely.
each other and with the group because it isn't an impact sport. We do have plenty of people who unfortunately have had to leave other sports and transition to this. So I've met more like triathletes or ex-marathon runners who, the knees or whatever it is aren't working anymore and they need to move to a new sport. And we
Yeah.
can be that sport if we can just keep those shoulders okay, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, proper paddling. That
Yes.
helps. But
Well,
something else I did when I came back was actually start interval training. And that was something that I had never done as much prior to my back surgery. And I found with less time, I was able to gain a lot of that endurance back by doing the interval training.
yeah.
Um, One of the programs I use is Mick DeBetta. He has Just Paddling. And so he's been really good at just kind of setting me up each week. I just do one of his monthly programs, and it seems to have helped increase my endurance and get that back a lot quicker. Because if I had just done straight paddling, I probably would have taken a lot longer. So,
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
well, that's amazing. Well, good
yeah,
shout out there. Yeah.
yeah.
How about paddle, other equipment? Do you have any
So
favorite things you've found along the way?
absolutely. I've actually only paddled with quick blade paddles, and I met Jimmy back when I was 38. I met him out in Hood River, and he was just very interesting to speak with. And you know, speaking about, he is so full of knowledge, and speaking about the paddles and how they enter the water, and it gave me an idea of how I can best utilize the paddles. So I use quick blade right now. I'm using the UV 77, and I just got the T2 79, and so I'm gonna start practicing with that. My understanding of the difference of the two paddles is that one is a forward catch, and the T2 is a little bit more of a back catch. And so with that, you coming up? Sorry, we're just slowly getting into a dachshund
Yeah,
moment
no
over here.
problem. And if you, I totally understand if you need to go help, or if
That's
you want
okay.
to introduce the whole family. I see the pier behind you.
Yeah, so my son's working on the lines right
Hey.
there. And my daughter's in the back. So yeah. Anyway,
Uh,
but yeah, so quick blade paddles, and then that's it. I those are the main two things that I use. My board and my paddles are, what make me go fast.
Absolutely. Well, one of the questions I usually ask is about what aspect of SUP do you still want to do? Is there something you want to try? But your life is so full right now. I'm
Yeah.
doubting. Maybe are you foiling or winging or doing any of
So
these
yeah,
new directions? Yeah.
absolutely. So I was a kiter, and I haven't kited in a while. Just I've kited after I've had back surgery, but not as consistent. Just because anytime there's wind now, I try to do I try to
Paddle. Yeah.
downwind, or
Yeah. Yeah.
use the wind in other ways. However, I started wing foiling, so I can foil. I foil behind a boat. I do a little bit of foil surfing, and then then I have just started picking up wing foiling. I am trying to fit it in. Now that it's summertime, it's a great time because I have more time. However, it's not great in the fact that there's not as much wind. Yeah, so wing foiling is on my radar. My husband has dedicated the last probably year to it and has gotten really good. So it's kind of nice because now instead of trial by fire, he can kind of coach me a little bit and get me going.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay. Surprised to hear that, but not surprised because you're very talented. That you've picked it up already. And that's great that it's something the two of you can do together.
Yeah,
and your kids are getting to an age too where they're, do you get them on the water? Or are they busy playing like soccer or baseball or something? Or
So my son, I can't even see myself anymore. So I don't know if I'm on my face, but
you're still there.
Yeah. So my son, he actually wing foils better than I do.
Wow.
So he's gotten it pretty quickly as well. And then he does jujitsu. And then my daughter, she does aerial silks and she does horseback riding.
Do they do that competitively now, or it's more of a performance thing?
Just performance. Yeah, she does annual shows. And then she actually plays the ukulele. And so she has been teaching me.
You know,
which is actually
that
fun.
was so cute. I saw that clip. If you weren't on the boat landing right now, I would have asked you two to play something. Maybe you'll come back and play for us or send us a clip. We do have a Facebook page that we'll have to put things on. Well, I should let you help Doc. I mean, it was so wonderful talking to you. It was actually super fun that we got to watch your landing. What'd you say, Panama Beach?
Yeah, we're in Panama City. Panama
City.
Yeah.
So you went all the way around the end of Florida?
Yeah, so we went from Stuart, Florida through Lake Okeechobee. So we cut Florida in half. And then the first night stayed in Fort Myers. Last night we drove up to Clearwater and then went from Clearwater across the Gulf of Mexico up to Panama City. And then tomorrow we'll be in Orange Beach, Alabama.
And that's where it's delivered?
Yep. And then we'll drive back. So apparently there's Agatha, and then there's the storms coming through the south end of Florida. So we're watching that because my husband has to be back to secure his boat if it ends up picking up and coming across in that area, because we were hoping to paddle some springs on the way home, but I don't know that that's going to happen. So we'll see. Gotta watch the weather.
Stay safe, Kim. It was so great to talk with you. Super excited about your continued success and future. It sounds like the big crossing is this month, right? The end of the month.
Yeah, it's at the end of the month. So we'll head over on the 23rd, and then we'll actually we start crossing midnight from the 25th to the 26th, and start beach landing, at some point on the 26th.
Cool. And I know it's your summer, so enjoy even more doing all your outdoor activities and your family and everything. And I'm just going to throw a shout out that the end of August, since you said you like sprinting, there's a race in Oklahoma that has money on it.
All right.
But it has sprint, tech, and distance. So I know that's not a typical place we go for stand-up paddling, but they have an amazing paddling center, Olympic training center, where it's going to be held.
Oh, very cool. Well, I'll
look into that one.
It out there. Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Well, the States, competing in the States is a lot easier than trying to go abroad. So although they have such a great thing going on over there, I wish I could get over and do some races. But
it's fun to watch, and we're trying to connect it all. We've started USA Sup, trying to get everything. Get us all together, both within countries and internationally, because we love our sport. We love what we do. Thanks for sharing your passion for it in so many ways with other people and getting people started and sharing them and getting them racing. Thanks everybody who's listening. Remember, this goes immediately to IGTV. So if somebody missed it, you can send them over there to watch. And then we get it recorded. It will be on SupConnect's YouTube and KT Outside, which is my YouTube channel. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you so much. I'm glad this worked out. I was a little nervous knowing that we were going to be in and out and where we were traveling. So I'm glad it worked out.
Appreciate you making it work. It makes it even more fun that we got a full scenic view the whole time of your lovely face and a beautiful background.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening.